Hello and welcome back to my channel. Um, I am just going to do a shorter video as usual, and maybe just go through a few things that we've been covering to date, and have a look at some general points about solo role playing, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons role playing games in general, and just some of the things, some of the themes, and deal with um, my thoughts on just what my approach is and how I can articulate it, um, and just where I'm really kind of coming from on this channel. Um, I'm certainly enjoying this process. I'm finding it a very good way to kind of. I was going to say showcase. It's nothing as grand, or I'm not trying to do like a hard sell. Like I don't have a product. I'm really just doing it because I'm enjoying talking about this role-playing game and just role-playing games in general. Having not played them for so long, I'm finding it quite a delight to actually just get stuck back into them again. And it's got me thinking about all sorts of other avenues I could go down, like my Traveller campaign I'm going to have with my friends. And I feel that having had experience of doing this uh, um, these YouTube videos, and it's been quite a learning curve, and just having to come on in front of a camera and speak and talk about things and try to keep it together. I was reviewing my first videos, and yeah, I've certainly, I feel personally I've come reasonably far. I'm actually getting up to speed now, and I'm feeling quite confident talking about different subjects and just maintaining a conversation and not having a script, because I think with the first couple of YouTube videos, I was very much trying to basically just read off my notes, and that always sounds kind of contrived. Uh, let me come back to that. There was a couple of points I just wanted to clarify on the last video, and I did notice a couple of little mistakes, and I just want to point out that I'm on it. I do notice my own mistakes, and it concerned. Let me just see where my notes are. This is proof that I do not have a script. Yes, on the for the druid, this druid didn't have a reaction, and we were talking about the pertinent facts, and we knew that this druid didn't like Tristan. Oh, sorry, the druid didn't like Tristan, and I remember I didn't apply any modifier to the interaction score. Now I was considering that, and I thought, well, maybe that should really have only been applied to the reaction, because it might not impinge directly on the chances of interaction unless the druid is not trying to avoid contact. And I think maybe in a social environment like that, I think you could maybe use your discretion as the your solo role player, and just apply common sense. What you think is fair. And again, I think that's a point I want to try and emphasize, is that there's no point cheating yourself and kind of fudging the numbers and whatever, just to meet, almost to satisfy your own ego. And I don't think any of us ever do that, but there is always the temptation that you become a bit attached to an individual character. You'd like a die roll to go one way or the other, but you just resist that temptation. We're all strong here. We can all get through all this type of temptation. So I think if you can rationalize in your mind and understand the logical steps you're going through to get to that decision, good for you. I think that's the way to go. And if it satisfies in your own mind that you've come to the correct conclusion, that's half the battle won. So that was the druid. I had something else. Yeah. On the now we had the interaction with Baldur and the party, and if you think about the actual if we kind of zoom in on that particular interaction. Now we've got Baldur sitting there, and they're probably sitting around a table. We've got the cleric, we've got Dagobert, we've got Tristan, and we've got the elf over here, Lindris. Now, the cleric, he's the elf here, half elf, and this is Baldur. Now, the cleric is our nominated spokesman. We've called him our leader. So we should really be using him in the interaction with, these other individuals are probably talking and whatever, but we should channel all our die rolls through him. So that is the reaction score that we do. So in terms of racial reaction, it should really be between these two as the primary, I would say. In the loyalty section, there is, and I've been trying to study the rules. With the reaction, let's look at the reaction thing first, what it says. The reaction says, reaction is determined by rolling percentile dice, adjusting the score for charisma, and applicable loyalty adjustment as if the creature were a henchman of the character speaking. So, I think I was viewing that it was the overall group in some of the calculations I was doing, but I should really be focusing on this one individual, and our cleric gets a +5 reaction adjustment, but also he represents the race of the party. So when we come to do a racial adjustment into hirelings, we should really use this column here. And the racial preference of half elves to human is probably actually going to be a bit academic, because it's probably just the same as humans. Let's just see if there's any difference. But this should be the process we were going through, and not just the general party. So we've got the half elf, and he is talking to a human. So there's a tolerance. There's a tolerance of humans. Is that the same? Right? Yeah. Okay, so that means that when we come to the calculation, tolerance is 0%. So we shouldn't be adding anything to that. But while I was doing this, let's just move on from that and say that, that was the way it is, and it's a kind of learning curve. And when I've been doing it in the past, I haven't always done it kind of that way either. When we look at human interaction, say it's human on human, and one human speaking to another, now they come down as preferred, and that's +20. And I was thinking that is a hefty positive to give to that interaction. And say that's repeated every time, and say a paladin is speaking to an individual, they're probably going to get a +30 for their charisma. And then they get another +20, so that's +50. So every reaction is going to be the same. It's just going to be, yeah, you're the best thing since sliced bread. We love you. They're going to have people swooning all over the place. I thought potentially to tone that down. I don't think I'm moving away from the spirit, but I'm applying a kind of like my own game world, which is very much centered on this feudal structure, this 12th, 13th century English, Scottish feudal structure, where if you go away from your, beyond 10 miles of your village or town or wherever, that's another country. And you view anybody beyond that as this rather um, rather poor term foreigner, they so I thought, well, why don't I incorporate a bit of nuance to the human interaction? So whenever I have a human interaction, I am now going to say that you only get that plus 20 if you're dealing with a local inhabitant and you are local. So it's local to local. So say Tristan was talking to Baldur. Tristan is local, but Baldur isn't. He's from. We haven't really determined where he's from, but you get the point. He's far away, and also I would say that anybody in the kingdom, say the magistrate Callas, who's from the centre, he's interacting with someone from Marchton. His reaction would be plus 10 because I've decided to treat that like goodwill. And then if you're from a foreign land, you're dealing with someone, a foreigner, it should only be plus 0. So I'm thinking that that would, it's not really disobeying I think the spirit of the rules. It's reflecting a kind of social reality that I'm trying to apply into this game world. And yeah, I really want to try and strive and cover all the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons aspects. And, for example, I'm going to have every single monster in this is going to be represented in my games world. Every character class in this is going to be represented. Every rule in the Dungeon Master's Guide I'm going to try to implement and have. But I think that there should still be a bit of flexibility, and I'm not following some script and ideology, to have a bit of flexibility that is based on a reasonable rationale. So I thought in that case, I think I would like a bit of nuance on the human interaction, and 9 times out of 10 it's going to be a human interaction because they are the majority species in this game, the majority race in this game world. Okay, that covers that. Yeah, there was one other thing I wanted to show, and just give a bit of evidence of. I kept on applying this 0.1 to 8%, and I did say that I would show it. I didn't get around to it, so I'm going to do that now. Where is it? 101. Yes. So these traits, there's a section on this page here, page 102, down the bottom, and it says non-player character encounter offer reaction adjustments, and it's got general tendencies, and there we go, any plus or minus 1 to 8. So that's covering our general tendencies, so things like Martha's, the fact that she's opinionated, that's the negative, or the positive 1 to 8. And then on the personality, again, it's plus 1 to 8. So that's the application of that particular metric. Okay. The other thing I wanted to maybe just touch on is, yes, this might not seem like a kind of relevant thing, but it might just be from interest of, and I'd love to see what comments would be on. And this is concerning music in role-playing. And I remember when we were playing back in 1979 and to 83 or whatever, and we always had music playing away in the background, really loud. And if I did that now, I would just not be able to concentrate. And my videos at the start are proof that you should not play loud music or even instrumental music to any degree in your background, because all you're going to do is just distract your audience. And we managed to do all our kind of interaction and role playing and look up all our tables. It must have been something to do with young minds, and this tolerance that young people have with music, and it must be their ears or something, or just their brain. The way our brains are wired when we're in our 16 or 17, we can just suck all that in. And I've seen a few comments like that. Someone mentioned he had Pink Floyd playing in the back. Now we were all, and I'm coming out from this from a dimension that I've looked at my statistics on YouTube on the analytics, and a big part of the demographic that watch these videos are based in North America, specifically the United States. And that's really pleasant. I'm really glad that I've got this international audience. I feel like some like kind of Robbie Williams going around doing stadiums. But no, I like this opportunity to provide maybe a UK, specifically British perspective on what the hobby was like back in the late 70s, early 80s, which, you know, I don't know anything about Lake Geneva and the Twin Cities and all that type of stuff. And you've probably heard that being played out ad infinitum in the United States, whereas maybe you don't know what happened in rural Scotland, and how all these people managed to coalesce in one school in East Lothian in North Berwick, and we had this little group of maybe 10 to 15 boys. Unfortunately there was no girls, but all these boys, out of a class of maybe I think we had about 100 or something in our class. So that's a big percentage, but we all had this passion for Dungeons and Dragons and role-playing games and chess and all these types of things, really geeky stuff. And I don't know whether it's just something to do with a generational thing, because I really identify as a Gen Xer, and maybe it's the same with Americans. That I know Gary Gygax is probably a boomer, but I think he thought the same way Gen Xers do. He's independent. He's cynical. He's kind of resists against authority. I think you called the latchkey generation. We're the same type. We had our own kind of, when you get a Gen Xer going on about music, that's about the most boring thing that we do, is we say our music's the best. But it'd be interesting just to see whether there's almost like a kind of a world culture of D&D players, and it was just almost like the perfect time to play D&D, because maybe you in America, you don't really understand just how it permeated UK culture too, and how many of us were playing just the same type of games. So we watched like E.T., where they're all playing Dungeons and Dragons around the table. We had games like that too. So I do want to talk about this again in the future, but I think I've maybe just laboured the point a bit too much just now. But it would be interesting to see what your thoughts are about the generational thing, and whether that was a factor, and whether any studies have been done of generations to say where how the game changes being played by generations. That would be an interesting study. Someone do it as a university PhD paper. Okay, next video I'm going to continue on with our experiment, but for the time being, bye.